Hi everybody, Russ from My Hammers 11. Hope you're all safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell icon so you're made of any time we put new content on. I'd like to thank our channel sponsors on Tuck It. Check them out in the description below. Today's guest, it's taken us a while, but we've got here finally. It's Phil Nice. Hi Phil, how are you, my friend?
Hello Russ, I'm all right, thank you. And yourself?
I'm all right, as best as can be expected in this
Under the circumstances.
Under the circumstances, exactly. Under the circumstances. And I'm quite a lazy person, so actually, you know, not leaving the house, but you know, by government appointment is a good enough excuse for me at the moment. Which is,
so do you ever get up and out from in front of your mic and stuff?
Well,
live and breathe and sleep there.
Fortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, when we had our garage converted, because I'm in this little garage, one day when I've tidied it all up, I'll show everyone where I sit. Some people have asked. There's no toilet down here. We never can get one plumbed in. So if I want to go for a Jimmy, I have to go up go back home, walk up the garden. So although to my detriment today, because I was like, just before we started, what's that smell? I thought, is it me? But no, I've had a wash. I've walked in some of my dog's poo into the garage. So if I pass out halfway through the episode, it's because you know, the fumes have developed.
You know, have you got a compost heap?
No, I don't have a compost heap.
Okay, well, if you had a compost heap, you could have a pee in your on that. It's supposed to be very good for it.
Oh, there we go. There we go. So it's not just West Ham. It's horticultural tips. That's what we do with this channel. But how have you been, Phil, in this sort of weird world we live in?
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? I mean, I've sort of go in waves, really. Sometimes I'm kind of quite upbeat and chipper about it, but then other times, like at the moment, I don't like this time of the year very much. It's all a bit gloomy and dreary and relentless. Yeah. It's a bit like COVID itself, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's like, I think, you know, with the first lockdown 1.0, we were a little bit spoiled by the fact that it was about 30 odd degrees weather. So, you know, the weather was nice and, you know, the days are long. And now when you wake up and, although it's changing a little bit, it's getting a bit brighter in the mornings now, which is a bit better, but it's always just
slowly
rain.
But surely.
I know, but it's the rain. I can't stand the rain. It's horrible. It's horrible.
It is horrible.
And it's keeping, I know what you mean, sort of these waves and stuff. But one thing that's keeping us on a positive is our beloved Hammers. You know,
exactly.
Could you imagine if we had like a relegation, if we were like, you know, a Sheffield United or whatever their position at the moment, plus everything. God, it'd be awful, absolutely awful.
There's nothing you can do for them, is there? No. They're just kind of there alone, and they're going to go down. But I don't feel that sorry for Sheffield United. No West Ham fan does, really. No.
Particularly Carlos Tevez and Scott Duxbury. Everyone else is fine. But I think with West Ham, just because it's a typical West Ham thing, actually, for, isn't it? You know, we've sort of found this. We've got this team, like a proper team.
I know. And
there's no bugger to watch it live. I just find it absolutely hilarious.
I was in the ballot for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
To get to the ground, and then it was all stopped. You know, and I didn't make it, but there you go.
Yeah, I think I don't think we see any fans this side of this season. I think, to be honest,
I don't think so either. No.
I mean, at the end of the day, you've got, you know, arguably you've got a better view of the game at home, warmer. You can have your cup of tea, you know, and so it's but it's that camaraderie, isn't it? I mean, you're part of that sort of, you know, Stop Hammer Time, Upton Park, like, you know, that sort of those groups and stuff, and the camaraderie, I think, is the one thing that everyone's missed.
I mean, that's a big shame, not being able to sort of meet up with mates and stuff like that, and you know, and also that kind of buzz, obviously, you get when you're there, you know. When we're playing well, but otherwise that kind of oh for fuck, so you know, that was that kind of stuff going on. You know?
But it's not just and it's that, and even if we don't play well, it's the get home, you know. So my wife doesn't need to know if we've won or not because we played well, because I walk in and the first thing I do is unseries link match of the day, and she'll go, oh, they lost today, then and then come Sunday, right, who we got next week? You know, it's just straight back up again.
Short memories.
It is, and at the moment it is, because it's like literally game after game after game, isn't it? It's relentless. But through to the next round of the cup and everything, and it's going to be good. 3 home games in a row now. We've got 3 home games in a row.
Well, that's a good thing. But, you know, we're very unpredictable. But, I mean, we've been slightly more predictable, haven't we, than in previous seasons. But, you know, we do look more solid generally. Even when we're playing badly, we do seem to manage to kind of generally, you know, keep out people. So that's a good thing.
Exactly. And I mean, you know, there's been a lot being said about Stockport game and various others, but West Ham 3 years ago, 4 years ago would have lost that game. No problem. No problem. They lost to Stockport. They'd have lost to Brighton the other day rather than drawing 2-2. You know, there's just, as you said, there's a team, and it's a little bit more. There's a bit of fight about us. It's a bit of fun, and I like it. I like it. But it's not just the players. You can see, you know, it's like if it ever kicked off on the bench, you know, we could handle ourselves on the bench as well with Nolan and even Moisey looks like he could handle himself in a bar fight in Glasgow, isn't it? But and Alan Irvine will jump in and Piercy and stuff. But no, it's good. It's good, and it's nice. But you know, there's that West Hamness in all of us, Phil, isn't there? Where it's like we know we're doing well, but still, you know, we've got this one eye behind us, just saying, oh yeah, you know, it's like 26 points, we're 10th, brilliant, and then literally in the next line, it's like 14 points to go. It's not, you know, it's not 14 points to go.
Yeah, but don't you know? But don't get ahead of yourself, kind of thing.
Yeah.
In the back of your mind all the whole time.
Yeah, you're 10th. You're 10th. You're all right. Yeah.
This often happens. It's going to go to shit. You know.
It's like this season. If it doesn't go to shit, I don't think we know what we're going to do with ourselves. You know, if we finish comfortably 8th this season, we'll be like, what can we moan about now? Let's find something to moan about. You know. Popcorn at the stadium. They'll moan about that again, you know. But it's no, it's nice for a change. It is nice for a change that we can sort of look ahead and look to the cup. And who knows? You know, the way things are going. You know, people are moaning about, you know, the next round round after next with Liverpool, Man United. The way the world's going, we could be our youth team against Liverpool's youth team, couldn't it? Really? And then we've got good under 23s, so I'm confident. You know, we're okay.
No, it's all looking quite good apparently.
It is. So we'll see what happens. But as long as Moisey, as long as the boys keep getting the, even it's the points. You know, these games where we've seen, like, we've obviously got Burnley and West Brom. Obviously, Big Sam coming back next week, which should be fun, and Snoddy and Grady. They'll all be back, so that'll be fun. And we'll see. I mean, I'm confident next 2 home games. I think, you know, 6 points. Cement our top 10 position and
be nice to get a striker though, wouldn't it? Really, you know, to offer some kind of replacement, you know.
Yeah. Well, by all accounts, there's loads. Obviously, you know, you're on Facebook quite a bit. There's lots of rumors, but but they don't seem to be too outlandish. Do you know what I mean? It always used to be. I don't know. Someone, you know, it doesn't seem to be a 30 million, 40 million pound player we're going in for. It seems to be a 7 million, 10 million, which seems about our level. Because I would want a couple. I wouldn't just want one to replace Haller. You'd want 2, wouldn't you?
And in the January, in the January transfer window, you know, you kind of don't spend so much normally. I mean, we did quite well in the last January window, didn't we?
We did all right. Yeah. Saved our season, really.
Yeah, it did. So it's not to be sneezed at. I mean, we could, you know, we could pick up a couple of bargains. You never know.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, it seems to be that the guy from is it Stad Rem Dia? I can't remember Dia. He seems to be Moyes' top pick. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. As I said, I think it's it's, and as you said, not only are we playing all right, but you know, with the sale of Haller and stuff, where we didn't have any money, at least there is some money there, or hopefully some money there to spend. So again, it's looking good for us. We don't know how to take it, do we? At the moment, it's very, very, very bizarre. It's sort of this state of flux, you know, knowing are we going to fuck up? I don't know. I really don't know. But let's enjoy it while we can. Phil, the first question I always ask everyone, 9 minutes into is why West Ham? We see the shirt. We know you is a West Ham, but why West Ham, Phil? What's your story?
This shirt, I don't wear it. I don't wear very often at all. In fact, I don't often wear the colours. Sometimes wear a scarf or. A very occasionally I do, maybe kind of once or twice a year I might wear this in the warmer months. But it does represent the kind of era that I was first a fan.
Yep.
And the reason I was a fan was that it was my brother who told me I had to support West Ham. I come from Basildon in Essex, and I sort of grew up there as Basildon grew up.
Yeah.
So in my youth, in my time at school, it was the team you supported was either West Ham, Southend, very occasionally a couple of Southend supporters, Tottenham and Man United, obviously perennial Man Uniteds, but predominantly West Ham. And in 1964, when we played in the cup final, that was the first match I saw on the telly with West Ham, and that was kind of actually on my brother's doing. He said, you know, we need to kind of watch this because they're your team. I said, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yes,
and the rest is history. So at that point, I didn't know very much about them. My dad wasn't kind of a big football supporter. He, like most people who are not very big football supporters, was an Arsenal supporter. And, you know, but it was that kind of, oh, I suppose I'm an Arsenal supporter because I was born in North London. You know? But he wasn't interested in football. And nor my brother's a bit more interested, but he's a cricket boy now. You know, that's his thing.
So he laboured you with that illness, and then buggered off.
Fine. And of course, it was the kind of glory years for a couple.
It was, yeah.
So there's that, and then the Cup Winners' Cup, and then of course the World Cup. So it kind of continued that, you know, that kind of made it go on. But I suppose at that time I wasn't going to matches. I didn't kind of know people who did go to matches. So it was a kind of very much a sort of at a distance that kind of being a fan, being a supporter, I suppose.
Of course, yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much more history you want. You want to know how it started.
Just carry on, Phil. I love just listening.
Come the 70s, I kind of was I've been to a couple of matches. I remember going to see West Ham away at QPR and being quite shocked to be pelted with coins from the stand above. So I didn't go to that many matches in the 70s and 80s. I mean, 80s was more, I was kind of developing my career. I was,
of course, a lot of work,
getting married, children, and all that kind of stuff, you know. And it was really only in the 90s that I picked up on West Ham again, properly, you know, rather from at a distance. And it was kind of late 90s that I got the first season ticket with my boys. Yeah,
well, it's the same that your brother said. Your West Ham, at least it's something you could experience with with the boys now, can't you? In terms of that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and so I mean, I live in a part of London which is, you know, if I went out in this shirt, in certain times I would be pounced upon and kicked because I live in Millwall land, and it's not the place to declare yourself a West Ham fan, you know. So I did go to a couple of matches with the boys to Millwall, but they were so dull. That was kind of almost the point where they gave up on football. And that wasn't against West Ham necessarily. They were just our local football team. We should go and see our local football team, you know. But then they kind of got more interested, and so we went to a few matches. We went to the training ground in Chadwell Heath when you could, you know, go. I mean, I don't know what it's like these days, but I mean,
no, because they moved it to Rush Green, haven't they? So it's itself. I mean, obviously, I'm a Hornchurch boy, so I am now, and so Rush Green is a bit like, you know, where like Chadwell Heath was very open. You know, you could see it's as a as a gate basically. It's a gate and a long drive. So you know, it's a bit sort of very similar to the Tottenham, you know, training ground and stuff. It's like it's away from the state, so you don't really get that.
I mean, Chadwell Heath, you could actually kind of go up and you stood in front of a fence and they were playing kind of a sort of practice match in front of you.
Yeah.
And as they came off the field, they came over and gave you autographs and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was extraordinary.
It was. Yeah, it was. And yeah, and it's one of those things, isn't it? I think it's just indicative of modern football. You know, we've had obviously, you know, lots of ex-players and stuff of the bygone ages, and there was that connection, wasn't there? And it was between the fans and the players. And I just think with now modern day football, it's, you know, I've always said they're on like, it's, you know, sort of this uber athletic level now. So you don't see them, you know, walking around, you know, going to afterwards, you know, on a Tuesday going for a beer in the, what's the pub around Chadwell? Is it Tollgate or whatever? Yeah. So you don't get that anymore now. And it's a shame. It's a shame for sort of the newer generation of fans.
They're kind of in their ivory towers, aren't they? They're kind of, it's like
and fair play to them. You know, they got the money. Enough. Exactly, yeah. But I think, you know, it's, you know, as I said before, I lived in Loughton before I was in Hornchurch, and I used to work in the local Safeways, and you know, every Friday Shaka would come in for his big shop, you know, and stuff like that, or Samassi Abu would pick up a baguette and and a bunch of grapes or something. You know, you'd see people walking about. Do you know what I mean? And nowadays we don't see anyone walking about now, but you know, in the present climate. But it's just something of that sort of that connection, and they used to stay around for a long time as well. Players as well.
Yeah. I mean, I do remember that. In fact, this is going back to the '60s. So around my kind of enlightenment time, you know. I was on holiday in the Peak District, I think it was. So it was like around Matlock area, Buxton, somewhere like that. And I was walking along the street with my parents, and then I noticed 3 people walking down the street, and it was Bobby Moore, Jeff Hurst, and I think Martin Peters, but it was certainly 3 West Ham players.
Yeah.
So I got their autographs. Amazing. They were just taking, because they were obviously playing, I don't know, Manchester United maybe, which isn't that far away, or Derby County or somewhere like that.
Yeah.
And so you just could go up to them, you know.
It's crazy, isn't it? And you think like these, you know, in terms of to Jeff and Bob, you know, World Cup winners, and you literally just walked up to them, and you know, it's crazy. It's crazy, but as you said, you know, mate, being a family affair with the boys now, and obviously the season ticket holder, and you know, and obviously the bowling, London Stadium, and as you said, it's a bit like a buzz, isn't it? And I think it's a buzz which I was talking to a guy the other day, and he's been going for 40 years, man and boy, still gets that buzz when he gets to the stadium, and you can't replicate that buzz. You know, I mean, I still get it, and there's no bugger in the stadium when I turn up. You know, just walking up the stairs, it's like, I'm home. I'm home.
You're there,
but there's still no bugger there, so it makes no difference. But no, it's I love it, and I think it's, and because of that, as I said, you know, I mean, we've won bugger all in 40 odd years, bar the Intertoto Cup and a couple of Betway Cups, maybe. Only we would invent a cup, which we don't win. But we get to the final every year, the Betway Cup, though. No one realises that. We're a funny bunch of fans, aren't we? I think, Phil, aren't we? We're a very unique bunch, and obviously, you know more than anyone. You know, you do your quizzes. You get your quizzes on Facebook, and a lot of the West Ham people jump on that, and
go on, you know, I do it because I can't do it in the pubs, you know. Because that's where I was doing it. And it is much more satisfying for everybody, I think. So it's a bit like kind of for footballers and football fans, you know, it's really hard to kind of have that distance. So you know, it's good to do. I like doing the quizzes, but it's not the same as being in the pub and having the toing and froing and interaction. And, you know, much more.
And also there, you know, if there is it on, if you do it on Facebook and people are commenting, there's always like a delay, and you just don't get that sort of bounce, you know, that sort of banter one off each other and stuff like that. What can we do? What can we do,
Nothing,
Phil?
nothing,
Exactly.
no. Wait
Keep
for the vaccine, I suppose.
exactly. Wait for the vaccine. Any one of them. Anyone. I'll have any of them. You know, I don't mind even the cheap one, the Oxford one,
I'll
the
have
cheap one.
whichever.
I'll have them. I'll have it.
Yeah.
It's quite. I was watching a piece
Many
about
as
the.
possible.
Yeah, just keep them coming. Although, to be honest, I am absolutely like that's like I'm not scared of many things in life, but needles are the one thing that I'm absolutely so phobic. Me and my wife were talking. You know, again, we divert on these shows. Me and my wife were talking yesterday about when I signed up for a new doctor. It was in Chadwell Heath at the time, and I had a blood test, and I asked her to come along. And I almost passed out, and she almost passed out. And literally, we're outside the doctor's surgery where my mother-in-law was one of the practice managers. You know, doubled over. Oh, I can't stand needles, but I've got to get it done. Got to get it in you. Got to get it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's always best to look the other way, and so you just don't know that they're doing it. You know.
Yeah, no, it's so bad. I once passed out my BCG test, which. I knocked out the poor old lady, the poor old school nurse. You know, I'm not a skinny lad. Let's be honest. I'm a bit thick boned, and poor. I had to have my actual one lying down. But yeah, oh dear. I don't know why I say these things on the channel, but it's it's just who I am, isn't it? It's who I am. But no, I was reading about the difference in the prices between the three vaccines as well. The Oxford one seems a bit of a deal. It's like £3 a pop, whereas the others are like really 20, 25 quid.
And I guess that is you're also paying for it being kind of slightly less efficacious. I think.
Yes.
I think so. Anyway, I don't know if that's the case, but
I love this show because we just not talk about anything. It's not just West Ham, but it always diverts and talks about something. It's usually I do one do like a lunchtime one in the same way that you do the pub quizzes, because you want to keep every lunchtime we like Monday to Friday we do like a little one on YouTube, and you know we get about like 50 or so people join us and we talk rubbish, but always end up talking about food. Always comes back to food and West Ham in some description. Doesn't matter where we start, we always end up with food and West Ham. But yeah, no, we're a hardened bunch, and that's what I like. Obviously, you know, myself and you were sort of in the same group of a lot of the Facebook lot, and obviously people have had a lot of bad news and tragedy. But the West Ham in us, you know, we go, I'm really sorry, and then we take the piss out of you, you know. So it's always like, that's horrible.
On, doesn't it?
But yeah, exactly. Life does carry on. And I think because we're hardened by the fact that we haven't won anything in 40 years, that, you know, we have this sort of stiff, like this sort of like a shell almost. It's like a callus that you have to break through, like what we're saying about West Ham winning and doing well. You know, it's callus.
And unlike some clubs, you know, we don't have that entitlement either. No, we don't feel that kind of, we haven't won anything for like 4 years. You know, a club like ours, and you think, no, you know, you've got no special entitlement to that at all.
Exactly. It's like I felt funny when all those Arsenal fans were going. You thought obviously, you know, Arsenal and stuff, and obviously they were like, "Oh, we're 15th in the league. It's ridiculous." 15th? I would have bit my hand off if you said we're 15th this season. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so funny. It's so funny. It's their turn. But you're right. There's this entitlement where it's like, you know, and it's like something like the cup run or something like that. You know, when like Man City every year they're at a cup. Well, just give us one. We'll have one.
Yeah,
just give us one.
Come on. Spread it around a bit. Share it out.
Oh, exactly. I mean, we still revere a team who finished third. You know, they didn't even win the league, and we still revere them. You know, it's such a West Hamness about us when you look at it in retrospect. But I've this year's our year, Phil. This year, FA Cup this year.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, I reckon.
Well, that's
Russ guarantee with no fans, with no fans at the stadium to watch the cup final. That'd be typically West Ham, but it is what it is. Anyway, let's talk about your Hammers 11, Phil. So obviously, everyone we have on the channel, we find out about their story, but then we find out about their Hammers 11. Obviously, you know, you said from the well, basically, you've got the full bloody gamut, really. If you from the early '60s onwards, really. So it's a tougher job for someone like you than someone who's relatively less experienced.
What you mean being so old? Yeah,
being experienced, Phil. There's experience. So obviously we've had people like, you know, obviously like that Jackie, bless her, and others who are in a similar privileged position. And you're privileged because you would have seen Bobby Moore play.
So I mean, And also my approach is different as well, because as I've pointed out, there are huge gaps in my West Ham education. You know, I was describing to my son this morning. I was saying, you know, in comparison with a lot of West Ham supporters, I'm a bit of a part timer, because I've done this and I've done that, and you know, gone in and out. You know, the team has always been there in my head and in my heart. You know, all that business, but I haven't always got to see them.
No.
So I've kind of thought, well, about my team, that it should reflect a bit about that, because obviously you mentioned you know, 1986 and the great team that finished third.
Yeah.
That is kind of an era, a kind of a time that I don't know so much about.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah.
I remember, you know, people like McAvenny and Devonshire and all those people who were part of the team, but that wasn't the time when I was kind of most active.
No, I agree that. Yeah, it's cool.
So, you know, I've kind of, my team, I think, is going to kind of reflect that a bit.
Yeah, that's good, and I think that's an honest approach, Phil, isn't it? I mean, yeah, you could have gone, right. Okay, we're going to put because I've been alive, but actually, there's been some thought into that, Phil, and that's what I like.
I've spent hours.
What else are we going to do?
Paper with names on.
What else are you gonna do? You're gonna bake some banana bread or whatever. Let's see, might as well write another quiz or do this. So right, let's start off in goal.
Okay.
Okay. Who's in goal, Phil?
Well, first, not easy choice. Okay. Because when I was first going to see matches, Ludo was the man. He was there in goal, and I always liked his manner. I always thought there was something kind of unflappability about him. And then there was Shaka Hislop, who I, you know, saw quite a lot of his matches, because that was kind of coincided with a lot of the season ticket period, the first period that I had. But I am aware, obviously, that Phil Parkes is kind of deemed to be West Ham's best goalkeeper. And yet I can't really feel that I can choose Phil Parkes, because I don't know him as well.
Yep.
And even though I want it to be Phil Parkes, I'm actually going to go for Ludo McCloskey.
Ludo McCloskey, the man from near Prague. Yeah, wouldn't work that song, would it? If it was factually correct, as Tony Gale once said to me. Ludo McCloskey, and I think that's right, because as you said, it coincides. And when we do these things, as you said, you know, I think you're very honest in that. You know, it should. You know, you'd want it to. I want it to be Phil Parkes. I mean, technically, I could have had Phil Parkes in my team, because he was alive when I was playing, but he was playing. So. But I never really. Ludo was the first goalkeeper I saw. Really, I can remember seeing. So it's the same thing. I think it's a good way to work it as well.
I mean, the first goalkeeper I saw ever was obviously Jim Standen.
Yeah,
he was the goalkeeper, I think, in the '64 cup final. So, but you know, the one that kind of made a kind of an impression on me and my children. I mean, you know, they used to love him. You know, Ludo. And it's kind of a testament, because he became kind of the goalkeeping coach, didn't he? For a bit as well. So you know, he gave his heart and soul, I think, to the club.
Definitely. And I think we did a Ludo appreciation night a few weeks ago, and Martin went through some of the stats, and he had, like, I can't remember now, but I think it was like 350 odd appearances, and he had like 100 and something clean sheets. He had an incredible clean sheet ratio. He was one of those players. It was a bit typical West Ham, you know. When we lost heavily, and he'd let a lot of, bless him, but often than not, he was on his game. And he is a great bloke and a nice guy off the pitch as well, isn't it? So
we've had a few like that, haven't we? I mean, you know, we've had a few good shot stoppers.
Yeah.
But then something goes kind of badly wrong for a little bit, you know. And so many goals go in. You know.
Oh, he's so West Ham for it. So West Ham. Right. Okay, that's Ludo. Put Ludo in. Let's move into defence. You go for the team as you've got them. You know, you go.
Okay, I'm going to sort of think of central defenders first.
Yeah.
Because I think I know where I am with those. I mean, because I did see Alvin Martin play a number of times, and I thought, you know, that man he's a trooper. He's one of those kind of real proper soldiers, you know, those kind of people that give their all. I liked him, and I've, you know, in more recent times, I've liked Collins and Reed at various times. Ian Pearce, I thought he did very well during the Redknapp era.
I love a centre back who can play up front. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. Because wasn't he? He was a kind of a striker at one point, wasn't he?
I love it. Like Chris Sutton. Chris Sutton was the same. He'd play up front and then play centre back. Really good on those football management games because you could buy him and he could play in two positions. Man, sorry, carry on, Phil. Sorry.
But anyway, I guess it's kind of like these are the more predictable ones possibly because Bobby Moore obviously made a huge impression when I first saw him.
Of course.
Great in the World Cup and great for England. And, you know, he's such a kind of icon. He's such a legend for West Ham. And I think English football generally. I think he's so important. And, you know, who can forget that kind of tackle against Brazil? You know, he just kind of got up and walked away with the ball, you know. So Bobby Moore is a definite.
Yeah.
And I think kind of in his kind of footsteps, really, I think kind of his best for us was Rio Ferdinand. I kind of think he kind of took on the mantle. You know, he was he had that calmness, I think, that Moore had, you know.
Yeah. Could you imagine them two together? Oh, in their prime.
I know. I mean, you know, they were terrific, both of them.
Yeah, they were. And as I said, you know, fortunate enough to have been around to see Moro play. You know, unfortunately, less people have been around to see him play every day now. Exactly. So it's important, I think, to maintain those sort of memories and stuff like that. And yeah, that's part of the reason why we started doing this type of thing, really, because you know there's lots of everyone's got these like meeting him in the Peak District and getting his autograph and stuff like that. All these lovely stories, which is anecdotal stuff, which people love. Right, okay.
Rio Ferdinand, it was kind of like seeing him emerge from the youth team because that again was kind of during that Redknapp era, sort of coming out of the youth team and kind of fitting into the team, and you thought, blimey, this bloke. He's kind of a young man, but he's got that surety, that kind of assuredness of an older player.
It's crazy, wasn't it? Yeah.
And so you know, so cool. So he was impressive.
I mean, there's obviously parallels with him and a certain you know, midfielder for us now in terms of how they've just developed into this.
Absolutely. I mean,
you know,
exactly.
No, you know, if they're you know, and we've interviewed like people who was like people like Neil Mellor and stuff, bless him, who was like 20 and they were just starting to break into the first team. Someone like Rio came in at like 18, which is really unusual. Now it's not. Now you throw him in at 18, 17, 18, but back then
you give him a couple of matches, don't you?
Yeah. But it's incredible that the impact he made. Right, okay, Moro and Rio. Oh, not bad. Right.
Yeah.
Fullbacks.
Now, okay, trickier. But I'm going to go for. I know that Sebastian Schemmel did very well, but it was for a very short period. As a right back, I think he was a right back, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And people, from what I've kind of gathered, people reckon that he was kind of one of the if we could have kept him for longer, if he played for us longer, what a player he would have been.
Yeah,
he was our hammer of the season for a couple of seasons, wasn't he?
It was the first season he came, it was hammer of the season. And again, we had that sort of run where we'd get a player on loan, they'd play brilliant. And then the second year, when we've got them on a contract, they're absolute gash. And he was one of the, so the second year, he was just absolutely
precisely, which is why he's not in my team.
Oh.
But I tell you who is, and that is somebody that I think probably a lot of people would have had in their team is Julian Dix.
Yes, Mr. Julian Dix.
Julian Dix. Again, is that kind of I like players who give their all for the club they're playing for. Sometimes, like Mark Noble, it's because, well, it's the kind of person they are, but also because it's their club as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But Julian Dix, put everything into it, and sometimes too much, obviously. But he was so impressive, and you always kind of knew you were going to get a performance from him,
Never questioned his commitment. Do you know what I mean? It's
no. Yeah, I mean, a little bit of overcommitment on occasions, but
we have a habit with players like that, don't we? They just overcommit a bit too far.
Yeah, but at the same time, that kind of the cracking sort of left foot that he had. It was a left. He was left.
Yeah.
I mean, that they were kind of rockets.
Yeah. And
you kind of thought, well, and he would go up, and until his legs gave out, he would kind of shoot up and down that wing as well. So yeah, Julian Dix is one of them.
Yeah, he's in.
I also toyed with Julien Faubert for a little bit, just because, again, I saw him play a few times. But no, it's not the same as somebody who could also have played and did play, I think, as a central defender as well. But I liked him because he was there for so long. And I wonder if you can guess who it's going to be. He's there for so long and gave such good service and very dependable. It's Stevie Potts.
Oh, I love Stevie Potts.
Stevie Potts.
Big fan of Stevie. And still there, obviously still in the club, still in the setup.
It's extraordinary.
Random boy.
And, I don't know how he managed to play as a central defender, because he was a little bloke, wasn't he?
It was 5 years. We did a night on Steve Potts as well. He was 5'7", he's 5'7", something like that. Yeah, he shouldn't be if he was 3 inches taller, he would have been an England regular. But yeah, he was better, I think, when they put him centre. He was incredible. When we've had people on there, we've had people like Tim Breaker and Tim Breaker, mate. By signing Tim Breaker, Steve Potts became a centre back, really. So, but no, yeah, he could read the game incredibly well. Very humble man as well.
Yes,
very humble man.
And that's another thing that's kind of likable about him. Somebody who kind of no messing, just gets on with it, kind of thing.
Yeah. You want that.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have that. It's good to have that. To know that you're, the people who are not kind of going to flounce around, and think the world owes them a favour,
Yeah. And that's what you want in a team. Stevie was he's never going to break defenders driving forward. He was there, dependable.
Yeah.
7 out of 10.
He's my dependable player. Yeah,
Mr. Dependable. Yeah.
I mean,
never a hair out of place.
Yeah, because you mentioned Tim Breaker. Tim Breaker would have been another contender, because he is, he was also pretty dependable. But I kind of just feel that Steve Potts.
Yeah,
kind of got it for me.
No, I got that. That's cool. Right, okay. Got goalkeeper. We've got defence. Midfield. Who's going to be midfield then, Phil?
Well, I've got 4. Have I?
Yeah.
4 to choose
if
from?
you want, or you can put 3. It's 5. You can have 5 and then 4, 5, and then 1 up front. So make the 11. Or is that all right? 4, 5. Yeah. You can have whatever you want, Phil.
So I've chosen 5, haven't I? So I've got 6 to play with.
6 to play with, yeah.
Because this is where it gets tricky. I'm just going to put the light on. Hang on.
That's it.
That's it. I don't know if it's going to make a lot of difference, but there you go.
Nights are getting darker.
So the holding midfielder kind of area.
Yep.
First of all, I'm thinking of that. You see, I always liked people like Lomas.
Yes.
You could always hear Lomas as well because he had such a high-pitched voice. So you could always hear him on the pitch, shouting at his players. So he was a committed player. You've got when Scott Parker was there for a bit, he was a very committed player. But I'm actually going to go for one of them. I'm going to go for Billy Bonds, just because Billy Bonds is somebody I have seen a few times, but probably not live. Only once or twice live. But I've seen him and I've known of him, and I admire him and his spirit and what he brings to the club. So
yeah,
and he's kind of he's one of those players that really you're proud to have in your team because he's so committed, gives his all.
Yeah, definitely.
And in a way, I suppose people like Mark Noble should also be there. Because in the same way that Steve Potts, for long service and also dependability, but I'm not going to go for that. I'm going to go instead. But I'm going to also mention Michael Carrick, who I was impressed with as well.
Yeah.
But, great distributor of the ball. But I want, I'm going to go for Declan Rice. One of the new boys.
Yeah, definitely.
Declan Rice, I just think he just looks so comfortable.
It's incredible,
with him in the team at the moment, there's a sort of it kind of solidifies the whole team. The whole team seems to kind of work with him right at the heart of it.
Yeah, he's integral, isn't he? He's like the pivotal. He's like the bit which sort of joins. It's like a Venn diagram, isn't he? He's the bit in the middle. And I mean, we spoke about him and like with Rio, and I mean, it makes me laugh. I sat back and thought about it actually the other day. Declan Rice is sort of, in essence, our captain. Really, he's not a club captain, but he's our captain. He's our team captain. The guy's only 21. 20. And it's like, but no one's ever questioned him. Ever questioned it, you know what I mean? And it's just incredible, really. But I remember seeing
the maturity he plays with,
so mature, yeah. It's such an unusual commodity as well. It's so unusual now to have that sort of he's got that old school leadership, like John Terry-esque leadership about him. And you don't get that in modern football now with kids.
No.
They're all like Jack Grealish and just like diamonds,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas Deck has this sort of like mature, like an old school mentality in terms of, even like the Stockport game, there was times where literally it was almost like he pulled his sleeves up and would just do this like commanding run into the box just to say, look, that's what you got to do. That's how you get past this lot, and it's like for someone so young to have such an influence on the team when you've got like, you have like people like Balbuena, who was manager, he was captain of Corinthians. I think Fabianski's captained the Polish side, and you've got all these players with a lot of experience, and they're listening to Declan Rice, and I still think we've only just scratched the surface with him as a player.
Oh, absolutely. I just I just hope we can keep hold of him, and at the moment I feel we will, because we're playing well enough to keep him attracted to the team.
Yeah.
If we can kind of keep that going, it'd be brilliant to keep him there as that backbone.
Yeah, well, you can see there's like there's a career path. If he was moving into middle management, in terms of there's you can see Mark's probably only got a season a bit left, and then there's a spot there to be the main man. Yeah. And he could be he could be a big fish in a small pond compared to Chelsea or Man City, where he's a he's a small fish in a big pond, and you know.
But we might be expanding our pond. You never know. We might not be.
It could be a big pond. Exactly. It's like when you start a new company and you get in at the early stage, and as it builds, you grow with the company and you become, that's how I can see him. And he's not stupid. I mean, he's very, very social media savvy. He knows what people say about Mark Noble and how he's, I said it before, Mark plays a 6, we put him down as a 7 because he's Mark Noble. And And yeah, to be honest, I think sometimes we give Mark a bit of a free ride. No disrespect to him, but if he doesn't have a good game, it's his legs are gone. His legs are going. Yeah, actually, no, he just played crap. He played a really bad game this week.
Yes,
but
it does happen, and it will happen more and more because he is getting on for somebody who likes to kind of move around with the ball.
Yeah, exactly. But Declan, and him and Souček just complement each other so well. Brilliant midfield too. Okay, so we've got Bonzo, we've got Rice. Who's next, Phil?
Okay, so I should have mentioned. I don't know if I did mention Scott Parker.
You did mention Scott Parker in dispatches.
I did.
You did, yeah.
Okay, good. Because it's special mention again. That kind of player. So so far my team is kind of full of people. I think that kind of really kind of give good service. And show commitment, which is now moving on, and then maybe this is going to carry on. Maybe this is the theme of my team, because I've toyed with the other midfielders, so more attacking sort of midfielders, and I am a fan of kind of tricksy flair players. I like seeing a little bit of trickery going on,
of course,
because it's entertaining. And so we've had a few of those in our time. We've had people like for a short time, Berkovic, Benayoun, and we've had people like Dimitri Payet, of course. Who. All of them offered something, and all of them I really liked at some point during their stay with West Ham. But I think that I'm going to go with old school on this one. I'm going to go with Trevor Brooking and Martin Peters.
Oh, they got Trevor Brooking. Let me write that down because I always have to make a note. So yeah. Rice and Brooking in the same team. With Bonzo and Martin Peters. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah,
and Martin Peters. Yeah.
There were other contenders because I was fond of Trevor Sinclair, for example. I was very fond of I was fond of Berkovic, but he was very moody. And he wasn't there they weren't there long enough. I kind of like the ones that have stayed a bit longer. People like Sinclair that was there for a long time. And Payet was extraordinary for a season for us. And, he had his own song and, it was he was very special. And that was a very special season. But not enough, I don't think, to be able to kind of get into my top, my Hammers 11.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Makes perfect sense. And you're right. I think but again, it's indicative of the modern game, isn't it? Really, if you get 2 years out of a player, they're putting, they're committed. They're legends. Someone like Payet, for example, the man only played season and a half. Tevez maybe played about half. Well, he turned up for half a season, but that's just the modern day, isn't it? It's like the modern day. They either stay for us for a long time, and the reason they stay with us, like someone like Winston Reid, is they've been injured for most of the time. So that's why they have stayed with us, because no one else wants them. But nowadays, I think we interviewed. I think it was Tony Gale, and Tony Gale said when he was, I think he was at the club for 11 years, bar 1 year, every year was a testimonial year. And as you said, it was all them lot. It was Alvin. It was Deb.
Yeah.
And it's. I know what you mean in terms of that sort of that longevity in
Well,
players.
that's kind of something that's changed, I think, in modern
Yeah.
football, isn't it? I mean, it really ain't like that anymore. That's the thing. It's quite rare, really, to get players that kind of stay with the club for most of their career.
Yeah.
It is, well, it certainly is for West Ham at the moment. Anyway.
Well, I think it's for anyone really. I mean, I can remember from sort of memory, I can think of in terms of testimonials. I can obviously Mark Noble famously had one. Obviously, we know that. I can think of probably Gary Neville had one. I think Jamie Carragher had one. I think Vincent Kompany had one, and that's it. I can't think of anything else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, well, technically, Winston Reid's due one this year, so
yeah.
So there we go. But right, okay. So we put Peters in. We got Brooking and Peters. So we got Bonds, Rice, Brooking, Peters. There's 2 more spots in the team, Phil. What are we going to
do? Okay. Again, this is kind of. I'm thinking more in terms of now the period that I was watching the football live with my boys.
Yeah.
At the in the Bobby Moore stand. And I think so. I've kind of wondered about Tony Cottee because I also saw him play a few times.
Yeah,
and he was exceptional. I have wondered about Jeff Hurst as well. I mean, Jeff Hurst, what a player!
Yeah.
But I didn't see enough of Jeff apart from the kind of. The obvious ones, in the sort of the England matches and the West Ham matches on the telly and stuff like that. So thinking about that period, I think for me, the first one that's going to go in has got to be, and you'll guess this straight away, it's got to be Paolo Di Canio.
Diego Tristan. What? Okay, Paolo Di Canio.
Yeah.
Paolo Di Canio. Yeah. Marco Burgers, God bless. I'm trying to track him down. I'm following him on Instagram at the moment. Yeah, but PDC, Paolo Di Canio.
Di Canio. I mean, the words that are used, obviously maverick and kind of, fiery and all those things, all true. Possibly, more right wing than I would like him to be, but But as a footballer and as a kind of servant of the club, if you can use a cliche like that, I think he just kind of gave something special, and he was great with the fans, and he kind of was one of those people that kind of really kind of he got angry with the team. He was kind of elated with the team. He did all the things that you want an exciting footballer to do. He was kind of somebody unpredictable. He could score fantastic goals. The probably the best goal of all that I've seen. That one against Wimbledon, wasn't it? Just sublime. And you kind of think, well, he's got to be there.
Yeah. And you're right. I mean, you mentioned before about wanting to go, in terms of you love a trickster because you want to be entertained. And in essence, I know it's professional sport and stuff, but we go to be entertained, don't we? It's a form of entertainment for us.
Yeah.
And so, the team wins, great. But, we've always wanted to win the West Ham way in terms of, and Paolo it happens very rarely in a lifetime, I think, where the player and the fans, the combo just works. And it just worked as a combo. We loved him and he loved us. And
yeah, exactly.
Typical West Ham, we got him because he pushed over a ref, and it's a little bit dodgy, but it was a great partnership between us and him.
Yeah, and I mean there were other strikers that kind of scored some great goals for us along the way. I always had a soft spot for Freddie Canute.
Me too. Yeah,
but there was something rather surly about him as well, and the crowd didn't warm to him in the same way that they warmed to Paolo.
And also I remember that his debut being that Wimbledon game. if I remember correctly.
Oh,
So his
really?
home debut was that Wimbledon game.
Oh,
So
right.
and
You've
it's
got a lot to live up to then,
I
haven't you?
know, I know, I know. But yeah, because I remember seeing Freddie first play, and you're thinking, because I mean, one player I'd always wanted that was I loved was Thierry Henry, and I was like,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
our Henry, he's our Thierry Henry, he's gonna, and there was glimpses of brilliance. But you're right, it's the attitude. I think it's that sort of French way, bless him,
Yeah.
and in the same way we talk about Payet. Payet never really, as a footballer, he really, West Ham fans loved him, but as a person, we never really got to know him. And same with Freddie Canute and stuff like that. And it might just be the French, they're all French, or maybe, I don't know, but Sebastian Haller as well, we never really got to know him very well.
There's something kind of rather distanced about
Yeah.
him. They didn't really engage so fully with the kind of the fans and the rest of the team,
And it might just be the fact that I mean, it might be the fact that Paolo was Italian, and sort of that sort of heartland of Lazio fans and the West Ham fans, passionate, and obviously I look at someone like Diamanti, he was this crazy Italian bloke we all took to our hearts as well.
Yeah.
And it's something about passion and West Ham fans, and if you don't show passion, then we don't like it. The fact that Haller didn't smile when he scored.
No. And
wound people up.
Arnautovic was much the same, wasn't he?
Yeah, but Arnautovic had that sort of nasty bastard about him, which when he's playing for your side, you love. I remember was it Burnley where he scored, like the guy I think it was Ben Mead did a bit of a miscued a shot or something like, and he scored and basically laughed in his face, and it was like, yeah, you do that, but now it's like we don't want him back. He's going to be he's a snake. He's a bad influence. But when he's playing for your side, you sort of like warm to him. It's a bit like people's opinion of Mr. Sam Allardyce himself, in that when he's your manager, he knows how to rile up the other fans, and I remember.
Well,
I think
so Alex Ferguson was the master at that.
Yeah.
And Mourinho's, is a good guy as well.
Yeah, pantomime villain. That's a role, isn't it? They're the pantomime villain, and that's what you want. You want that sort of that personality. I think football now is not about personalities anymore. Now, they're all very technical players, and where you have a Mourinho, or you have even someone we mentioned, Jack Grealish, even someone like Grealish, he's a cocky little bugger. And back in the day, back in even sort of like Moncur Bishop era, he would be a cocky little bugger, and he wouldn't have got so many press because he's one of loads of players.
Yeah,
he stands out now as being this horrible little runs of a person, but he's just got a bit about him. But that's what it's about. Right. Anyway, so we got Paolo in. One more spot, Phil. One more spot. Man.
Well, you see, because I had Jeff Hurst down as the other spot. Yeah. But I've changed my mind. I've kind of thought, well, I'm actually going to go for another current player. I'm going for Michail Antonio.
Oh, I like it.
Just because, again, it's that kind of sense. Michail Antonio has a smile on his face most of the time, and I just love that sort of approach to playing football that he has. And he just seems to have kind of got better and better.
Yeah.
As long as he's not injured.
And that's another thing. I mean, we talk about players who stay around for a long time. Obviously, he's been with us for a fair few years now. But he's been injured for a few of them as well. Bless him.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. And I think because he's done the hard yards. Again, we talk about modern football, and players get drafted into academies and Man City's academy and fast tracks and stuff like that. Obviously, he did non-league, worked his way up through the leagues. There's something about that. Yeah, there's something about that. That's for sure. And you're right. He just seems. Although someone made a good point the other day. He does take a few games. My only note to Michail Antonio, I'm sure he's watching and taking notes, is that it takes him a few games to get up and running. I remember like Villa, when we played Villa early in the season, he'd come back from injury. He was atrocious. He was very poor. Stockport, he wasn't very good. Yeah. So he does need to, and that's the trouble. If you're injured, you need that run of games.
It's true. but I think kind of just generally his attitude is kind of exemplary. I think he's kind of does a good job. There was a period I seem to recall a couple of years ago when he would when he got kind of some kind of injury and he lay down on the pitch, and kind of, it was almost like he wouldn't come off, you know. So there has been a strange period with him, but I just like his general attitude to the whole thing, and I think he's also frightening for other players. You know, in his day, I think on his day, I think he can really kind of make a difference to a team.
Yeah, and he's so unpredictable as well. You know, he's not a trickster. He's just a speedster, really, and just a bulldozer of a person.
Yeah, so he's probably the kind of the least, you know, in terms of, he's probably the least, not, I wouldn't say talented, but he's kind of, you know, possibly the most surprising choice I've made, I think.
Definitely, but there's reasoning behind it, and that's why I love these shows, because it's like you pick, but it's because of this. And he goes, yeah, I mean, football's a game of opinions, isn't it? And so everyone has an opinion on stuff, and I think Mikel, in the modern day era, I mean, exactly. There's not many. You can't fault his commitment. I mean, somebody gets injured so many times and still comes back and plays. You know, he could have easily have. You know, he's a millionaire, the man, isn't it? And so, you know, but he still signed a new contract with us, and I like, you know, obviously, was it the Christmas before last when he crashed his Lamborghini dressed as a snowman, and you know, there's these little craziness which takes us back to a bygone era where you hear some great.
He's got a good attitude, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And that's it, Phil, and that is it. That's the Hammers 11, man. It's been it's an hour. I told you it'd be an hour. Literally an hour and 1 minute. Crazy. Just 5 minutes.
Mate, yeah, well, you know, who would have thought it, eh?
Who would have thought it? I told you we'd be fine. But anyway, thank you so much, Phil. I really appreciate your time.
It's a real pleasure, Russ.
Thank you. I really mean it. Thank you so much. And obviously, thanks everyone for watching or listening, whatever platform you listen to. Give it a like, give it a share. And for myself and for Mr. Phil Nice, take care, everyone. Stay safe. Wash those hands. Come on, you irons.
Come on, you irons.
Go on, you irons. And we'll see you again very, very soon. Take care, everyone. Much love.